Good morning. This morning we will talk about sustaining hope in the midst of anguish. And this is not an easy task. The psalmist of chapter 86 is praying from a dark place. He is clearly growing through something, and during his trial, he is calling on God for help. And not just any God, but his God. The psalmist's personal call is deeply felt. I need you, O Lord. He is embodying God's very presence and power. Verse 1, which we didn't read today, he asked the Lord, he says, incline your ear to hear your poor and needy servant, your humble servant. This call for God to do exactly what he believes God can do. And then we go on to verse 11, which is the part we first heard from in our passage today. He says, teach me to walk in your truth. Give me an undivided heart to revere your name. The psalmist is hurting, alone, has enemies pressing in on him, and in the midst of his trials, he acknowledges God's divine presence. He uses words for God like Yahweh, Elohim, Adonai. Through his humanity, he is walking with an assurance that God is known to him and through him. Yahweh, Most High, Covenant God. Adonai, sovereignty, absolute lordship. Elohim, divine and mighty. He goes on to say, teach me to walk in your ways. He is saying, help me to respond in a way that honors you. The world is in complete contrast to God, and we have to navigate our way through it. The wheat and the weeds have been growing together for far too long. We have made horrible mistakes along the way. We will come up against evil forces and enemies unaware. And those realities will hurt and push us into darkness like the psalmist. Keith Leach, in his book, The Sky is Red, said this: much of our ministry in the future, as in the past, will consist in the nurturing of sustaining hope in the midst of an unutterable pain and anguish. It has been said that real ministry occurs when the skin of the soul is rubbed raw. Yet it is here that the heart of pain and apparent emptiness, that the community of the resurrection often emerges. Let that be so. This is a powerful and deeply felt truth. This week, a couple of days ago, I was asked a question of if I could go back into history anywhere at any time, where would I go and why? And I've been thinking a lot about my granny these days, mostly because I'm a grandmother myself, and I've been pulling from her spirit as I try to do better as a grandmother. And I thought about going back to West Africa, Cameroon, Nigeria, Benin, where my ancestry kit says I had likely come from. So I wanted to go back to the area in which my family may have originated. I would talk to my great-great-great-great-great-grandmother and ask her to tell me what was life like before 1619, before my family was cast into darkness. And like the psalmist, we have been acknowledging God's presence and calling on God to be Yahweh, Adonai, Elohim. We have been 400 years in hoping in spite of pain, and maybe the world's skin is finally being rubbed raw, or at least starting to hurt. Sustaining hope in the midst of anguish. Lord, help us do this well. Help us walk in your truth that honors you. As we respond to the world around us, Let us make sure our actions show that we are one with God. And we must hold on to hope that our resurrection is coming. Amen. May God bless you all.